Fernando, what's going on, champ? Champ, you hear me?
Yo, what's good, Ness? Yes, sir.
All right, all right. How are you, brother? Thank you for jumping on, man. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me.
So obviously, I see you're gonna be on this Rashad Evans and Rampage Jackson card out in Albuquerque, man. How's it feel?
I feel excited, bro. It's a new set of eyes. You got the whole influencers going on, but it's a stat card. You got Shemosi Jr. on there. You got La Bala Mendoza. You got myself on there. I believe you got the Tapias on there. So, you got a little bit of different legacies. That are gonna show out. So I'm just a week out. Next Saturday, I'm ready to go, and I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Madison Clavon that's putting that together. And I see that you guys now are
Yeah.
going to be on Black Prime. You've fought on Black Prime via Marv Nation in the past, right?
I have not, but Amado's gonna be fighting on a card like immediately after I'm done fighting, probably like a week after. So um, we're already doing stuff with BLK Prime as well.
Cool, cool. Yeah, no, I seen that Madison got BOK Prime to distribute this
Yeah,
Rashad
yeah,
Evans
yeah.
and Rampage Jackson fight. But yeah, man, talk to us, bro. I mean, I've been following you guys now for quite some time, but it feels like time is flying, right? I mean, you're 12 and 0 now, or is it 14 and 0?
16, bro.
Ay,
That's what
Dios
I'm
mío.
saying.
Look at that. Time
Yeah.
is flying,
So
bro.
time's flying. You saw Emmy with his last knockout
Huh?
over there at Fountain Blue. My goodness, Emiliano's looking phenomenal at 140. But, I want to show the boxing world what I'm about. I started a little later, but that doesn't mean nothing because the Olympians, the whole set of boxing now is just they're a lot older, and I don't have that wear and tear on my body, and I'm excited, bro. And I'm 16 and 0. This guy that I'm fighting, Korea, very game opponent, has a few losses, has none to lose, but he's fought a Mungia, he's fought a Janabek, so I can't overlook this guy. But we got some plans, bro. Like we got me and my team, my lawyer Charles, my promoter Marv have been patient with me, have been building me. And a lot of fans are like, "Yo, why don't we see you here? Why don't we see you on this table? Why don't we see you there?" The time's coming. So I can't really release too much news, but I have a big fight that my team is putting together, and it's time, bro. I'm ready to fight everybody at 154. I really want that test, bro. I want the Zeus. I want the Ugas is even at 160. I wanna show what I'm about.
When you say that it's time, are you talking about a title fight, or are you talking about like a step up fight? What do you think it's time for in your career?
I'm talking about where the fans could be like, the Vargas boys ain't fighting no cab driver or not fighting my plumber or not. We see the comments, but Ness, this is a business, bro. So we got our experience, but yes, it will be a step up. It'll be a huge step up, and everybody will know the name. And I can't say if it's for a title. I can't say if it's for someone ranked, but I trust my team.
Wow, so the next announcement will be a recognizable name. Like we'll be like, oh shit,
Correct.
Fernando's fighting so and
Correct.
so.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
And
Well, that's what's up.
Fernando, you crossing over out here in Phoenix, Arizona. Can that next fight be in Phoenix, Arizona? Because the
Man,
Vargas,
Phoenix loves us, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. We could see what we could do out there in Phoenix. I know Phoenix big on boxing, and they're very passionate. We love the fight fans out there in Phoenix. And Vargas Dynasty, don't be fooled. Don't think that it was just my pops that was a throwback fighter and he fought the Lions. But like I said, my dad knows what happened in his career. Whether it was the Russian, whether it was the fighting the big fights too soon. You get criticized if you jump into fights too early, or if you know what I'm saying, have a strategic plan. So, like I said, I'm excited. Again, I can't look past my opponent come next Saturday, and I'm excited for what the future holds for the whole dynasty.
I do want to touch on that because we might be having a few people that are too young to understand what was just said, and you're talking about your father's career and how he was not necessarily he, but Robert Garcia at the time, his manager or trainer was the one that was criticized for rushing your father into big fights that maybe he would have won had they took care of him. So when you say your father knows about being rushed and he's trying to not make those mistakes with you, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about for those that don't know the legacy of your father.
No, yeah, correct. You know, my dad was the youngest junior middleweight champion in boxing history. You know, it was 21 years, 5 days, but with everything came young. The big fights, fighting Trinidad, not having enough experience in his belt. You know, and then after the Trinidad fight, De La Hoya wanted to fight my dad, and you know, it's just life you learn, right? So my dad's our best teacher, and I trust what he says. You know, a lot of people critique a father-son relationship, and I don't know about others. You know, father-sons may work, may not work, but as far as my corner, I know what he's telling me. He's feeling what I'm feeling. He's felt what I felt. And some of the best trainers haven't been fighters, but I love that my dad, was able to reach the highest part of the sport, and it serves us for experience. So look, I'm excited. I've been sparring already all these fighters, the Damas and Kell Brook and Crawford, and it's just I want to show what I'm about. I want to show what I got to the table, and I have a lot to show. I could box, I could punch. I'm smart first. I'm a boxer puncher, and like my dad always says, is mijo primero inteligente y luego valiente. My boy Ness knows Spanish, so we gotta go in there being smart first, and then if the opportunity presents itself, you know, um, we can get him out of there. But just locked in, bro.
Oh man, you opened up a can of questions with sparring Crawford and him moving up to 68. Everybody's gonna want to know your expertise. Do you think that body can actually move up to 68? Because you're 60, it's only 8 more pounds, and I'm sure you sparred him when you wasn't 60.
I'm 54, but pretty much same shit, right? Crawford's strong, bro. I thought when I was in there, I'm walking around a buck 75. I'm
That's what I'm saying.
hydrated. I'm not cutting weight, and I was a look for him to fight Spence.
Mm,
And I go in there, Capetillo got me in there, and we do 4-minute rounds.
wow.
And I think I did like a 15, 20-second break. Like, it was
Was that
quick.
your
I got
first
water in the.
time? Was that your first time doing 4-minute rounds, or you was already used
It
to that?
was.
Okay.
It was. His pace was crazy calm. It was the weirdest thing, bro. But what's crazy is I thought I was gonna move Terrence easy. Like, I'm bigger than him, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, Terrence is strong. I know he has like wrestling in his background or whatever. His son's wrestler or whatever. He is strong. Like, he knows how to move your body. He knows how to conserve his energy. He knows how to get you tired. And I gained a lot of experience in there. But Crawford's no joke. I feel if he could take Canelo's best punch, he could win, bro. Because he got
Mm,
the skills.
nice.
But I got Canelo winning because I don't think he can. And I love Crawford. He's one of my favorite fighters. But I don't know, seventh, eighth round, can you take a flush Canelo shot?
Now I ain't trying to start nothing, but do you feel like in that session you was able to land something where he knows, okay, Vargas got some pop, or was he just too slippery? You never really got the land flush.
Nah, Bud I've hit him with a few shots. He was actually kind of quite easy to hit. Not,
Mm,
I thought he wasn't really that. He was gonna be harder to hit, but he sets traps, so he'll let you get your confidence up. I did hit him with some stuff, but you know, Crawford's a hell of a fighter. Crawford's a hell of a fighter. One of my favorite world champions.
wow. And that was Southpaw versus Southpaw. I'm assuming. Have you been in there across the ring from another Southpaw that with that much boxing IQ, or did you feel like the IQ wasn't what you expected? And again, I'm not trying to get you to shit on him, but this is your
Yeah.
opportunity to see where you're at with a, two-time undisputed champ. So I'm just trying to see where you assessed yourself. It's not about him, it's about you
Yeah.
in there with him.
Nah, I did real good in there. I did real good in there. You see, these guys are not too far away. Like, everything that they're doing, we're doing. We're running the mountains. We're cutting weight. We're sparring. All it is opportunity. So again, Crawford's a great fighter, but I feel once you get those type of fights, you can't go in there thinking like, oh, that's Crawford or, oh, that's so and so. You got to go in there and and work. So it was great. It was great work. It was great work.
Absolutely,
You're
man.
um you're a young hungry lion. Would you retiring a Keith Thurman be good for? Like, would you be open to that? Like, like fighting Keith Thurman at 154? I think that'd be good. That'd be a name on your resume, and you would get him out of boxing.
That would be phenomenal. Why not? I know he fought. He just fought back. He looked good. He had hit him with some uppercuts and ended it. And that was a pretty game opponent. But I would love that with Keith. That would be a great opportunity for myself and for me to write my own legacy. I would love that. I would love to entertain something like that with me and Keith.
Mm.
So how's that relationship with you and your dad? Obviously, he's got to train 3 different boys. All
Yeah.
are his sons. Everyone gets different attention, not only from him but from the media. Everyone has different criticism. How is your dad handling being a father trainer to each of you guys, and how do you think he's doing in dividing that time to give you to nurture each one of you as a fighter?
I think it's difficult, being one person training all 3 boys, all undefeated. It's my dad's legacy on the line every time we fight, regardless what stable, where we fight, whether it's on ESPN or streaming. People always are going to critique us because we're our dad's sons, and that's just what it is. But my dad's doing a hell of a job. I take my hat off to my pops. That schooling comes from, the Big G, and Buddy McGirt, and even, you know, uh, Danny Smith, all these different trainers that my dad got training from, even Floyd Mayweather Sr., you know, uh, there's just a lot of stuff that my dad hasn't got his flowers for. And I know with us, especially with this stuff that we got in the works, God willing, everything goes good next Saturday, it's gonna be my coming out party. So I want my dad to show what kind of fighter, what kind of trainer he is, and he knows. My dad knows a lot, and for him taking Emiliano and doing what he's doing, Amado doing what he's doing, my dad's doing a hell of a job.
Do you like? I mean, I know you just expressed how well he's doing, but have you sit back to see, I guess, how far you guys coming? I know maybe in your mind you're not done. You're still a prospect. You got so much to prove. But I was casually talking to my wife the other day, and she's like, wow, all 3 of his sons are undefeated and fighting. Like,
Yeah.
he must be so proud. And I never even thought of that myself. Like, your dad has to be proud as a father that each one of his boys followed in his footsteps. Do you think about that? And is that in the back of your mind that, I mean, you just said it. Every time you fight, his legacy's on the line. So do you take that into the ring to try to preserve the legacy?
Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said no. It's like, even being brothers, you always, who got the better car, who got the better girl. It's always like that, bro. So, I mean, of course, my brother had a great performance. I'm gonna try to outdo him. Smart though, first. So, there can be a little bit of pressure, and everyone's doing a great job, and we're all undefeated. But with that, you see a lot of the backlash too. You see world champions even, you know, having their own comments, saying that this is this and this is that. Well, we see it, but only thing we could do is just continue to just do what my dad has, and that's his game plan. So, um, we're listening, we're staying patient, and but my time is now. So these bigger fights are here. Absolutely.
What do you
Who,
think on
who,
the
who?
public? I'm sorry, Tone. What's your thoughts on the public kind of pushing Amado and Moulton into a fight already? And do you
Mhm.
think they should be considering fighting each other now, or is that a fight when they're both have 20 plus fights?
Look, we threw that out there just to tease the fans and for them to start talking. Obviously, people are talking. Um, you see Amado back and forth. Carmel calling out Amado. it's good for boxing. I know, and their team knows as well. We're gonna continue to get our wins, and we're gonna see each other. We're gonna make our money as well. So, Carmel's doing a hell of a job. He's a knockout artist, and Amado's doing a hell of a job too. So, um, they will see each other.
Go ahead, Tone.
Um, who does have the better girl? Out of the bro,
I do
He ain't
always.
he ain't
Hello.
about to rate his brother's girl.
you just said he got the better girl. He
Wait,
cooking right
I'm
now.
not gonna rate. I'm not gonna rate the girl, but girls, that's a different story. What Floyd say? Having one is like it's close to having none. So we're not gonna do that.
Oh
Okay,
man, you
salute.
made
That's what I'm
you
talking.
made Tone's day now. You just made Tone's day. I got Mr.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
go to
god.
the people's questions now, and we'll get you
Yeah,
out of here,
absolutely.
champ. I got Mr.
Yeah.
Benny Hinn. He says, "How do you feel about the backlash over your support for Devin Haney?"
I've never really seen too much backlash on that. Look, me and Devin Haney and one of his fighters, I forget his name, Amari or
Yeah,
Amiri,
Mari Jones.
uh, Mari. We've had some stuff in the gym, but it's nothing personal. I don't have anything against Dev. Now, is he fighting at 140 or 147, Ramirez?
144 Ramirez.
Okay, catch weight. My brother's at 140, so anyone around my weight or around our brother's weight, it's potential competition. And if it's not competition, motherfuckers don't want to fight you, bro. Like, you feel me? Like, if you're around my weight, 154, 160, and you're too cool with me, like, come on, bro. As a fighter, like, I know what time it is. I know what that means. So,
Mm,
I mean, it's not that I don't support Devin Haney's a hell of a fighter. I feel if he would have fought the Teofimo fight, excuse me, I feel if he would have fought the Ryan fight, not to kill, because he's not a puncher, and just use skill, speed, he would have beat Ryan, skill wise, even with what he had. But I feel Devin Haney, his dad sent him in there to kill him, and death threats and the psychological part of the sport. You can't send Devin in there. You can't send Devin in there to do that. You know what I mean? So, Devin's a great fighter, though. I have nothing against him or his team or his father. I want to see them back, back on top.
I got Talk Trends that says, "Why didn't you also get signed by Top Rank?"
Because they were trying to give me a shitty deal. They were trying to give me like a deal with Keyshawn, right? For example, and his two brothers. His two brothers are not even really signed to Top Rank. They just got like they put him in there, a few of his cards or whatever. So it's not like we were gonna get prime time because I didn't have the accolades like that, right? So I didn't have 100 and some amateur fights. So, they gave Emmy the prime time deal, and at the time I only had like what 4 or 5 professional fights. So my dad's like, "Fuck that. We'd rather get the experience than what be put on the shelf and then maybe you get fights, maybe you not. You get fights only when your brother fights." So um, we went that route.
For sure. I got Quest. What's up, champ? Who would you rather face in the future, Bakram or Fundora?
I say Fundora.
What is it about Fundora? Because he's Latin, because he got the two belts.
I just think he's tall, man. I would love to give a great fight. I'd have to work on the inside, and he's a tall fighter, but he fights a lot on the inside, and he's been touched already a few times on the button, so we already know that that button's been touched. But he's a hell of a fighter. Throws a lot of punches. I have to be in the best shape of my life, but it'd be a great fight.
I got Capi Cool in Patterson, New Jersey. Says fantasy matchup. Who wins? Eric Morales versus Juan Manuel Marquez.
Oh, that's a good one. I like Marquez. I like that high guard right here. But ah, Morales runs through a lot of punches. I like Marquez. I like Marquez.
Was it natural for you guys to like watch fights with your dad, him being a fighter? How was that like childhood? Did you guys like watch fights the way, we watch fights with our parents? I mean, watch movies with our parents? How was it in your household?
Not yeah. I mean, all the time we would watch boxing. It's always be there at barbecues, and after we're done dinner or at dinner, we'd be talking about boxing. So it's just something naturally that we love, you know. So me being a little kid, I always just be hitting the speed bag, being around the gym. So it was just inevitable that I got into it, you know. I don't come from no crazy background or nothing like that, obviously, but boxing does give me my purpose, you know. As much as it saved my dad from the streets, uh, I feel the best mentally. I feel the best spiritually, emotionally when I'm in the gym doing what I'm called to do.
I got major media that says, did you and your brothers fight each other growing up? If so, who used to win?
Hella times, me, and then they got older, and then they got some licks in too. They could all fight, you know.
That's crazy.
Eh, But it's just like they're not gonna. My little brother would be like, "How would you like if I told you that?" I tell him, I call him the B word, and then he'd be like, "How would you like if I called you that?" And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not gonna do that. So hey, look, my brothers, they got the same bloodline as me, so I'm not gonna tolerate no disrespect, and neither are they. So, you gotta talk to your brothers, whether they're younger than you and older than you, at the same eye level. You can't talk to them looking down. You know.
Facts.
Nah, for sure. That's funny. We got V Dash. He says, "Salute, champ. What kind of fights or wins do you think you need to have to separate yourself from your father's legacy and create your own?" That's a great question.
That's a great question. I believe, um, a credible name, someone who is battle tested. I feel someone who's respected, someone where I'm coming in as the B side, someone where I'm gonna have to get a dub, and the way I do it. So obviously, my dad was respected for his tenacity, being ferocious, relentless, you know. But I want to show that it, yeah, it was his background. He came from not having much, not having a father, his dad not being there, so he fought angry, smart but angry. But you can have that same fuel and tenacity as an athlete, as a competitive perspective. Like I play sports. Sorry, I have this back cough. I play sports, so I understand like what it is to push through, and you don't have to come from no struggle or anything like that for you to be taken serious, especially in the fight game, bro. Like I really feel they overlook you for that.
Well, champ, those are all the questions, man. I want to thank you, obviously, for jumping on and letting my audience get to know a little bit about you. And we're going to be following not only your fight, but the career. We appreciate you. If you can't give out your social media, if anybody that isn't following you can do so.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me at Fernando Vargas _ Junior on all social media platforms.
I got a last one. They want to know if you guys are bringing back the reality show.
We might do it. We might just do
Mm,
it. It's time.
Let's go. All
let's
right,
go.
champ, man. Appreciate you.